All right. So, as per usual, when we do read from things or reference things, posts from CIG, I like to start out with the opening comments specifically from CIG because this is their words and what they're trying to convey to us word for word. It says, "Happy Wednesday, everyone." Yes, it's obviously not Wednesday for us, but anyway. Every 2 weeks, we accompany the roadmap update with a brief explanatory note to give you insights into the decision-making that led to any changes. This is part of an effort to make our communications more transparent, more specific, and more insightful for all of you who helped to make Star Citizen and Squadron 42 possible. With that said, let's go ahead and dive into this week's Roadmap Roundup, the CIG community team. Those guys are like tirelessly working, and next year is going to be so busy for them because they didn't do CitizenCon this year in full. Next year, the community team takes CitizenCon to a whole new level, we assume. So they're going to be working so much overtime. All right. So notable changes for October 26th, 2022. It says, with this published, we're extending the majority of the downstream team schedule to Q4 2022, so the current quarter, with the few remaining coming in the subsequent publish, so in 2 weeks. We also, does it say, I believe we also, no, that's not until, I thought they said something about the Q3 stuff coming soon, but no. I feel like I heard that. It might be in the next patch, or the next update patch. Yes, the patching of the roadmap. No, that's not it.
I see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
No, the Q3 2022 will be
Right.
beginning of next year.
Okay, so we'll get that in the first quarter. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Some reason I thought somebody said somewhere.
Wait, no, you may be right.
Because it's 4 quarters, not 2. Yeah, it's 4 quarters.
Yeah, because we are in Q4 now, so we should be getting Q3
soon.
Yeah, because they're finishing the downstream for Q4 2022, and yeah, I think
Jake said I remember something being talked about, so I assume that it's either the next update or the update after that.
Yeah,
that will get the Q3.
Yeah, because usually during the quarter is when they extend into the fourth quarter. So we're in Q4 right now. So at some point in Q4, and scheduling things get all screwed up, but they should be giving us the Q3 on the progress tracker for the upstream teams. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Because I don't think they've started any of that I've noticed. We'll have to take a look.
Now that we've had all the quarters screwed around, Alpha 318. In the last weeks, this week in Star Citizen Pose, we mentioned that our next major update, Alpha 318, has been testing with our Evocati group, with our next test aiming to go out later this week. As we mentioned, after evaluating data from our recent Evocati test, we are targeting early December for a live release. This update will not impact AIE, which is the next event coming next week after next, 18th, whatever the 18th is of November. Which will now release in Alpha 3.17.4. This has been reflected on the release view with this publish. Additionally, as the Drake Corsair is due to release during IE, I said AIE before, IE, we're moving this card on the release view from 3.18's to 3.17's column. So, we are getting the Drake Corsair with IAE. I keep wanting to say AIE. How it rolls off my mouth. It's fine. Anyway, do you want to take it 1 over 1? Or you want me to just read through it?
Oh, we can go for 1 for 1, yeah.
All right, so yeah, you on Steve.
Oh, yes. Release view. So the following card has been added to the release view. The Greycat STV, which is Sport Terrain Vehicle. Yeah. Or
vehicle?
I don't remember. Sport Terrain is Sport Transport. Either way,
we're so good at this.
Yeah, the only thing that matters is it's lovingly called Steve.
Steve,
that monkey, Steve. When I was on the 24-hour live stream, the first section with hey, it's Nick, and he did that. He so perfectly did that damn monkey from was it Cloudy Have a Chance of Meatballs? I think.
Sport terrain. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I was laughing so hard. Like my mic, yeah, I was laughing really hard and my mic cut me out because I was laughing so hard.
Nice.
Building, implementing, and balancing Greycat Industrial's utility ground vehicle, the STV, as a game-ready vehicle. Since they showed us the concept art for the UTV, I'm wondering if they will reveal that on the progress tracker or if it's even on the progress tracker.
So as per,
Because I mean,
and we need,
it's
I need
technically
to like
announced now.
get, yeah, I need to get like this as like a screenshot I can show every time this question comes up. Jake said, just absolutely straight out said, if we know the name of the ship, it is an announced ship. It will not be in an unannounced state.
Mm-hmm.
So that we know the other vehicle, it should be a. We should be able to see the work on it that's been done on the progress tracker. So no ship we know the name of is an unannounced ship, barring stuff releasing and then having to spend an extra week or 2 weeks post CitizenCon to get the Spirit actually on the progress tracker because they went on break after everyone um, finished with CitizenCon. So yeah, and the Steve is an absolute amazing vehicle. Like it takes the portability of the PTV with the like drivability of the Cyclone. It's really good, and I love it. All right, so next up is new rivers in Stanton, setting up biome-specific objects, rule, biome-specific object rule sets around bodies of water, and distributing those by placing additional rivers and lakes on Microtech and Hurston. Why not on ArtCorp or Crusader? Well, one, ArtCorp's not going to be touched till they want to redo the tech they use to build ArtCorp because it is a special blueberry. And Crusader's gas. There's no rivers. Just figured I'd lay that all out. So
I'm
back to you
looking forward to seeing
for.
those new rivers. I know they don't have any gameplay, but I'm hoping they'll put locations on or around them just to, when they're adding the more locations in Stanton. I hope that
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, well, I'm going here and there's a new location, and oh, look, the beautiful river or nice, idyllic lake nearby.
Yeah,
It'll be
it's
because
good.
he
It's
said
going
that
to
they're
change.
adding a crap ton of them.
Yeah, it's really going to change how and where they place what are they called, outposts, because have we seen this like years and years ago that when they build a planet, they don't know where they're going to place all the outposts. They're not. It's not procedurally generated where the outposts are. They'll actually go and scout locations. So it is probable that they'll choose locations with beautiful views like a river. So outpost next river is coming to a planet near you.
Don't fill up your canteen in the rivers on Hurston. Make
Don't fill up your
sure
canteen on
you,
Hurston.
yes, buy water purification tablets. Yeah,
Oof. Is that gonna be a thing? I wonder if
and,
that'll be a thing.
that would be kind of interesting. Yeah,
All you have
unless you want to
water,
lose
cause
weight really fast and potassium.
cause that's the thing for space games or like space lore is getting water or oxygen. So
Mhm.
if you have like a quality of oxygen, which they have said you're gonna have, will they also have a quality of water? Like, can your water purification unit on your ship break?
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping because we I talked about this with Paul, and he's mentioned it multiple times how
Oh, glow.
your armors and suits are going to have sort of like subcomponents and stuff to them.
Mm,
They're going to function much like ships, and I'm hoping that eventually as bits and bobs that you can add to your armor, you have so many slots that you can get your space based your space armor version of a damn camelback, so you're not having to carry water bottles in your backpack. You know, it's 2952. We should have
Michelin Man armor. It's just all water storage.
yeah, yeah. Um, or be able to buy special ones that that you can go all Dune. What are the name of
Mm-hmm.
those suits called?
I have
What are
no idea. I don't.
Oh
I
man,
don't keep the names of Dune stuff in my head.
well a lot of the names are really weird. Yeah,
They are.
the
And I'm trying. I
we
can't think of a single House of Trades. There we go. A single name.
yeah we the last lore, the org relic hunt that we did, we went and found the river and the lake on
Hmm.
Microtech with the derelict outpost at it, looking for relics, and it was a lot of fun. It was super cool, and I just loved getting in my Valkyrie and just bobbing and weaving just barely above the trees, following the river. It was sweet,
I
especially
should go
with
there
the
with my Nomad.
well, and the terrain changes. The when he showed us off of those cliffs, that looked
Hmm.
great. That would be so much fun with a hover vehicle. Far more than yeah, still suits. Thank you. God, why couldn't I think of
Mm.
that? Thank you, Robert. I appreciate you.
You would be better jumping off of those cliffs and possibly even making it to the other side. The Ranger.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Someday.
So,
Someday.
do we want
So
control surfaces or do we want two-wheeled vehicles? Two-wheeled vehicles, obviously.
yeah.
Uh,
Sand Cave Archetype, establishing the visual language, creation pipeline, and quality standard for a new Sand Cave archetype. With this release, cave networks using this archetype will be placed throughout the Stanton system. Um, so I don't think they mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, both Nazareth and Chat, but I think they're just adding additional caves. They're not converting old ones over, like or I mean, are we getting on Hurston? Are they not only going to convert the caves that they have in sort of sandy biomes to sand caves, or are they just going to add sand caves, or are they just going to convert all of them over?
I'm pretty sure
That's
it's both. They're
yeah,
converting some, but also a moon that doesn't have them or it has a
uh huh,
couple is getting either more convert. I don't remember specifically if they said they're adding more.
mm-hmm.
I do know they are converting some, but I don't know if they said if they're adding any.
Also, the sand cave archetype thing that they are, uh, this plays into my scanner anomaly, which is part of the reason
Ooh.
I chose it. So we'll talk more about that later. Um,
All right.
yeah.
So, security post Korea, or Korea, whatever you want to call it. Reactivation. So, it's called reactivation. A little bit of lore here, because the story when we actually got it into the game in the first place was that Crusader Security, I can say Crusader Security, was moving out. They were deactivating the station. There wasn't enough activity around. They didn't need it anymore. So we're now 2 or 3 years down the road. SPK, that's called. Yeah. The amount of illegal activity has skyrocketed in the past few years. So Crusader Security is like, yeah, we're gonna move back in. So we're reactivating. So the title says, Crusader Security post Korea will take a more central role in Stanton's security. Not just Crusader, Stanton's security. Crusader Security has moved in full-time staff and has begun storing confiscated contraband aboard. Unless given prior authorization, the station will be off limits to all civilians. This is going to this is like a lot of story happening in the verse. It is really refreshing to see. Like, not only is it going to be a hub of the crossroads between lawful and unlawful players, but also give a place to not just, oh, you have to go blow up drugs. You have to get them over to the authorities. So it's pretty cool. Pretty
Yeah,
cool indeed.
with
I
Jumptown, I can imagine in order to get paid, you're going to
mm-hmm.
have to deliver the if you're going the lawful route, you're going to have to deliver the confiscated drugs to Security Post Korea.
And
And
I really hope that they have plans for a cargo elevator, not just the single box,
oh
little,
gosh, yeah,
what are they called? The dumb waiters.
yeah, the little
Uh,
mission box things, and yeah,
could you imagine? I don't know how much people, I haven't done a new Jumptown event, so I don't know how many boxes people go off with, but I can't imagine doing more than 5 into
I
this
want to
little dumb
see
waiter.
I want to see people using tractor beams to sort of do like an assembly line thing, but for people,
Mm-hmm.
or just tossing the boxes to each other in a line, all the way from
Mm,
the ship on the pad into the
yeah.
station to have it be dropped off. Because yeah, that it talk about an inefficient way to go about it. Like they should make it so it's part of like the cargo refactor. So if you have those
Well,
mission boxes, you bring them in, access the terminal, and it says, "Oh, okay, you've got 35 of these. Congratulations. Here's
I
your
forget who
bounty."
said it. Let me actually go over there. But the cargo refactor we're getting in 318 is by far not the cargo refactor that is the entire cargo loop.
Yeah.
It is the tier 0 cargo refactor. I can't. I don't see it right away. Anyway, so it is possible that, or probable that the Korea reboot was developed in spite, I guess, of the cargo refactor, and that will be added on because they need some feature that's yet to be established, or something that's not coming in, or just they didn't want to have to wait for the cargo refactor to develop the new Korea.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible we get an update sometime in the future, like the thing says, where it is will take a central role in the entire system's security.
Yeah.
So
I
it will
am.
probably be a focus for a little bit.
I know we mentioned it when we talked about Bounty Hunter V2 in that Spectrum. It was a Spectrum Pulse that we did. We had a big segment on Bounty Hunter V2, and I'm hoping that the security stations will be places where you can drop off bounties when that becomes a thing, as well as picking them up. Besides just the bounty offices, maybe that are at either other stations or landing zones. But I also am hoping that this is just the first one, and I hope that they make multiple security stations because yeah, it just seems very odd to me that Crusader Security would be the only people that had a police station out in space in their space, as if there isn't any law breaking going on in the rest of the Stanton system. And at
The person
Dell,
either murders you or doesn't care.
yeah, well, so like if you remember from the Quanta presentations and the one that we showed heavily in the when we did Bounty Hunter V2,
Mm-hmm.
they showed how there was basically pirates operating out of Krakens near trade lanes or something. But then in the second video, the one that we looked at for Bounty Hunter V2, instead of Krakens, it showed space stations. And so we don't know if those are actually Krakens or if they're space stations, if they're a mix of both, because some of them that were labeled look like they were in the air in Halo, and others look like they're out in just open space, kind of like the Krakens were from the first presentation. So it'd be interesting to see if there's a mix of them, but they were all over the map. They weren't just huddled around Crusader. Crusader isn't the only place that's getting that has an increase in crime. It's all of Stanton. I think but it's just Crusader that is really sort of the nexus for the Nine Tails, but we do have the other gangs, So I'm hoping that we'll see more of these stations, so that way, if you've got more places to turn in bounties, more places to turn in drugs, um, and for these dynamic events, more places where the cops spawn from, uh, yeah. Yeah, Ghost
Makes sense. It
1800
would make
says there
sense.
should be one for each corporation. Yeah, there should be at least one per planetary system. Um, if not more, probably just one I think is fine. But then, the what's the name of the UE Navy station in Xenothreat?
Actually, ArcCorp would not have one.
Why not?
ArcCorp does not take care of their own security. They give it
Oh yeah, they have
to
Blackjack, right?
a. They have Blackjack, which is not a policing force. It is a hired gun, basically. They work
Yeah.
as mercenaries.
Well, maybe they have
Would they
a
have a
Blackjack
station?
station. Who knows?
Maybe.
Maybe they have
So
assumed control of a previously privately held one or something, or maybe Blackjack Security operates out of private Idrises or something.
I I hope they do something flavorful like that, because just having copy pasting the Crusader security,
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
like how they function, how they're organized model, the Crusader security model, just copy and pasting all around, and then just dumping whatever crap lore on top of it to justify it. I would really hate that.
The way they
Like
could do the
Blackjack
Hearson
is
Security one
mercenaries.
would be cool. Like they could really make that one flavorful.
Hurston's security police station should just be a floating prison.
Yeah, like a big box. It should be super
That
impressive looking from the outside in. Yeah.
do the what the shape is it? The Oblivion station.
Hmm.
Just a shape, basically a giant triangle.
Yeah. I just hope that this is a tier 0 implementation of this thing, and then
Isn't
um,
Klesher? Yes, Klesher is the Hurston territory.
yeah, and then they will add more of them in different locations later on. But we'll see. We'll see what they end up doing. Um, but yeah, the last one is new missions, Orison. Bounty, assassinate, clear all, and other missions to take place on the platforms created for Siege of Orison, which in the future will be distributed across the planet of Crusader to create further content. Yeah, Crusader is going to be covered in all sorts of different platforms for a variety of different uses. And just like with ArtCore and the big tall buildings that they have with the landing pads and the freight elevators, you're going to have the and building interiors. You're going to have the Crusader is going to be dotted with all these floating platforms of various uses that you will have procedural mission content at for a variety of different things. So yeah, it's we really have they said version 2 of Orison, but it's like version 2 of tier 1, and but with
Yeah.
the procedural tools. Oh, there we go again, procedural tools, weird. It's not just gonna be Orison. It's a giant giant
Yeah.
planet. It's gonna have a whole lot of these things floating around it. um, it'll be interesting.
I
The other thing that's interesting for me is if they add a whole bunch more of these things around the planet of
mhm.
Crusader, kind of like how ArtCore has multiple areas. There's Area 18 and a bunch of the
Mhm.
other different numbered areas. I wonder if those other areas will get their own like mini spaceports, or will they have stations in orbit above them? I don't know.
Well,
As in
it's
like
gonna get
multiple
real
landing
cheap to
zones.
make them soon. So
Yeah. Funny you say that, Nazarus. It's almost like
I
there's a
I
theme.
I don't necessarily want them to shrink the atmosphere distance of Orison, because they like that, and they have certain art things and reasons why. But I would
Hmm.
like them to just raise the 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 speed cap. That what's the thing
Oh,
called in your car?
so the when we were I didn't mention it during
Governor.
Armchair Admirals and Generals, but during QCM mode, there's basically
Hmm.
three modes, and with QCM mode, and there's risk reward. There should be, if we're understanding it right, there is a good potential for risk for versus reward for it. But QCM mode basically allows you to, take off the speed limiter, but it drains power from your shields and your weapons, and you don't have to be in quantum mode in QCM mode. You can
Hmm.
be have the power going to thrusters and just go really fast in normal thruster flight, or you can have it be in the quantum boost or standard quantum mode. So there's three modes of flight within
I
QCM
I just
mode.
don't want to take anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes to leave
Oh
the
yeah, that's
atmosphere.
that's what I'm saying though. Is in QCM mode, you your speed limit is unparked, so you could and you have that power diverted to your engines. So I think that it's going to mean that you can get out of atmosphere, out of gravity faster, maybe not dramatically faster, but I think I don't think it's going to be like the SCM mode where you have to do 250 meters per second all the way up to space. No, I think you'll be able to, okay, well, I can choose to go slow and have shields and weapons because I'm in a place that isn't safe, or I can take the risk and I can go fast. And maybe with all these dynamic events around Orison and Crusader, maybe you want to go fast and get out and risk it. Risk getting ambushed by Ninetails in Crusader's atmosphere, or you slow boat it up with your shields and weapons, and you play it a little bit safer, but you're exposed for longer. I think that would make it pretty interesting and dynamic, but also,
Yeah.
not punish us for going down to Orison, at 250 meters per second and back. If you can be uncapped, so that way you have all that power for your engines, and then you can actually, starting out, go 400 meters per second, and it scales up from there, from the whole gravity aspect. I think that would be a nice trade off. In terms of, oh well, hopefully Crusader security will protect me, and I'll just try and get out of Atmo faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is it for the Roadmap Roundup this week. One thing to note is they always link the Roadmap Companion Guide at the bottom of the Roadmap Roundups. This is your friend. If you are having trouble understanding the roadmap and the progress tracker, join Nazeris and I in our Discords, and we will help you free of charge. We might ask for some UEC as a tip, but yeah, it's kidding. But this is also a good way to, if you have questions, there are a lot of good answers in the Roadmap Companion Guide. Nazeris and I refer back to it constantly while we're pouring into this. And I'm going to, let's see, I need to get out of full screen because we're going to go on to the Shinytracker. And actually, I need to pull that back up over there.
Yeah, we referenced the what's it called? Something companion, Roadmap Companion. I don't forget what it's called.
Yes.
Basically, at least once a week, as we're like, or at least once every 2 weeks, as we're like, oh, stuff came out. What does this team do? Oh, they're this team. Okay. What does this team do? They're that team. Okay. Just to make sure, like, there's a lot of different, like the progress tracker and the entire company has made a web of like interdependencies and who helps who. And there's a second web we don't see, which is somebody walks over and asks someone a question. That is not a web that's mappable, but there's a multi-tiered Tesseract web that CIG has made, and it is one of absolute creative power. They have found a way, as far as I know, outside looking in, found a way to make a global 1,000-person studio. That's what, 5 studios?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm counting Montreal and Turbulent.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so 5 studios feel like a small indie studio. Where you
not.
just like get up and like walk to somebody's desk or just call someone up. Hi, what are you working on? And you just do that. That's like a thing that they do. It's great. I love it. I would love to just sit there, just like sleep in the offices for like a week. Or go camp in their offices.
The other thing about the roadmap and the progress tracker, well, let's say progress tracker because that's what we're looking at, is this is the visual representation of all the data that you get, but it's condensed to make it, as pretty and visual appealing, but also as digestible as possible. But there's also background data behind this that you can't readily see, and that's why Nazeris and I use the Shinytracker, and I mostly just use the Delta report. There's another report as well, but the Delta report's easier for me to to follow because they're like when they do the big updates, there's an obscene amount
Well,
of information.
I'm actually
And
gonna. I don't know if you know the feature, but there's an extra feature on the not Delta report.
the let's see,
There's hidden
this one.
scheduling.
Oh yeah, yep.
So go to the not Delta,
Yeah, the scheduled deliverables one, right?
yeah, and then click on a team, like vehicle
Mm-hmm.
feature team. So go to the first deliverable and then click on vehicle feature team.
Yeah, I did. It does that.
Yes. So that, even on the progress tracker, all the equals signs, the entire bar would say that's the chunk of work. The Shiny Tracker is able to pull data that says they weren't actually scheduled in this 2-week period. So somebody did work over here and somebody did work over here, and the line is where we are. So
Okay.
even though it might show up on the progress tracker as a continuous bar, there was a break. And that will be important for theory crafting and
Mm-hmm.
seeing which dev's working. Because this one says it has one engineer, so obviously it's just the one engineer working, and he had a 2-week gap in the middle. But that also we can track devs better, which is kind of like a scary thing to say. But we can track who's doing what easier, so we know where they're coming from, which task they're going to switch on, which team and which profession is doing it. Because engineer and artists are very vague in the worlds of game development.
Mm-hmm. The
Yes.
the app. This is like tracking the scheduled deliverables bit and using what you were just talking about. That is like varsity level development following. Um, I'm still very much JV with I like my progress track the Delta report for the progress tracker. It's definitely easier for me to follow just because I'm looking at dates and then I'll click the deliverable. It'll open it up and then I can open up the bar and see okay when are these teams working on them? Are they full-time sprints? Are they part-time sprints? And then you can click on that sprint and see what
Ooh.
disciplines are within it. So I go
A,
back and forth between the Delta report and the progress tracker itself when I'm looking at specific deliverables.
a good one for the we'll call it the schedule spy feature
Schedule spy.
is
Uh
the the AR and map marker system.
huh.
There is technically 4 different sprints. There's
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
every 2 dots is no, every 2 dots is 2 weeks, right? Every dot's a week, I think. I don't remember. Anyway, there's 4 weeks I think in the middle. I'll have to ask Hobo again. And then there's a giant gap currently, and they're about to do another 3 or 4 week sprint with 4 weeks in the middle again, and then another 4 weeks.
mm-hmm.
But on the progress tracker, solid bar.
Ah.
So it
Craziness,
will
man.
be a thing that like you'll also see a lot what shows up in the monthly report and what shows up on ISC and SCL. Because if they're not working on it for 2 or 3 weeks, they're not going to show anything because they haven't been doing anything. These gaps also might show up when there's a dependency, which I imagine would show up in the map rework.
Mm-hmm.
So these are things that will just give us a little more information that we can better understand our favorite game that we obsess way too much about.
Yeah, and if you are
Oh, and
if you're
equals
looking
are
for
sorry.
oh, I was gonna say if you're looking for more context, this is how you get it. You know, just looking at the roadmap roundup, or even just looking at a big old bar on the progress tracker, that does not give you much context. And people always complain about that, and they don't realize that you can click on this. Oh, well, look, there's more context. Okay, that's character work just for the actor feature team. And then you can click on the deliverable view for character work, and you can see all the teams working on it. And then you're like, well, wait, why are some of these lines dashed and why are some of them solid? Well, dashed means that they're working, on it part time, splitting the team between time between something else and this. And then if you want to go look at character work on the scheduled deliverables report,
Where's
Let's see. I don't want character art. I want character work. There we go. So if you want to look at character work on the scheduled deliverers report, you can look in detail using the dots and the equals is, and even these symbols.
I don't know if they're tilde. No, they're.
They're
I don't know what it's
tildes.
called.
Yeah.
They're under tilde. Anyway,
That
equals
gives
means
even
full time. The squiggles mean part time.
yeah, that gives you the details
Do you have a
of
legend here?
these bars. This is just a picture to make it. Oh, okay. This is a picture, but it doesn't give you the details, the context of what it is. This is the actual. This is what is behind those bars. So, if you nerd out on that stuff like we do, this is for you. And if not, you can come here and Nazeris and I will explain it to you and help you put it in context.
Okay, so each pair of symbols is 1 week.
Okay.
So it splits on Wednesday. So first half, second half of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So that is how you read that.
So we're not going to go through each one of these in detail, but Nazeris has an announcement, and then we'll skim through the Delta report on the Shiny Tracker and show you some of the highlights and lowlights.
Yes. So speaking of the Shiny Tracker, if you actually go to the home page, yes. Where does it say? Where does it actually say his name?
Oh, I got you.
It's on here somewhere. I read his name. I specifically looked at it so I could actually point it out, and now I forgot where. Oh, it's right at the top. By Shiny Hobo. So Shiny Hobo made this amazing piece of kit, and we're actually going to have him on the podcast next time we do a Roadmap Roundup. So in 2 weeks, we will have our first guest, and someone who's actually made something that we go to every 2 weeks. So it's gonna be great. We're gonna have some questions for him, see what he's doing, see how he made the thing, and see if he's got anything planned for the future. And what else does he do? Instead of like, what's his favorite stuff? So that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be kind of interviewee. We don't know exactly how we're gonna do it, except for questions.
Provide us some insights, and we're gonna learn more about him. And
so if you guys got any questions for Shiny Hobo, the developer of the Shiny Tracker, be sure to contact us. Put either
why is your
live
name
chat,
Shiny Hobo? I've been a paramedic for like 15 years. I've not been a single hobo who was ever shiny.
Have you ever been to Colorado?
Oh yeah.
There are professional hobos. Well, professional beggars.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily hobos. But there are not hobos. There are beggars that own homes.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. That is suspicious. Why is all I see is Invader Zim? You're right. That is suspicious. All I see is anyway. The Delta report. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for the next There's so much I'm excited for. The roadmaps or the monthly reports. Like, man, Star Citizen is just kicking off. I can't wait till 318.
I need to move this over. So I screenshot a handful of the deliverables because obviously they've got 90 modifications.
I just read the first one. Unannounced was removed.
Yeah, so I wonder if that's just a
bug,
an error.
That has to be a bug.
Well, that it was removed and replaced with announced, whichever. Like, is this the Steve? Or
okay, well we can figure that. It was
I know how to do this.
21,801.
STV.
801.
So, yep.
That was the Steve. Right? Okay. So.
Hold on. Yeah, it was from August 1. Yep.
21.
Yeah, so they just removed the instead of changing the name, they removed it and re-added it as the
There's
Steve.
probably some metadata reasoning to that.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine
Yeah,
because
because here it is.
there was a I don't exactly know what to call it, but there was a misnaming thing, something called like Ship 42 or something. And that was named that
Oh yeah.
way so no ship was actually leaked. So there is a bunch of obfuscation done when all these things go up. So an unannounced thing has zero metadata on it, whereas it's Gray Cat has all the metadata of the Gray Cat tile. So like unannounced is not going to have anything to do with the naming of the Gray Cat, and so he makes sure Jake makes sure that nothing accidentally gets leaked if somebody gets a hold of something that's attached to one of these files. So I imagine that's what that was, and that's why he does it, as in add one then remove it. Look, sounds like a lot of work, but I guess if he doesn't want it leaked, and obviously Chris doesn't want it leaked. Like Chris is the last person who want it leaked because, as we said, I'm pretty sure it was the last episode. Chris likes the showmanship. All right.
Sorry, just
All right, where do you want to start?
Discord beeped at me. So yeah, the unannounced removed, added Great Hat STV. Interesting that they added chapter 28 of Squadron 42.
I wonder if I have two theories. One, it's the final chapter, so they want like it to have the most polish, so they waited as long as possible to add it.
Mm-hmm.
Or the I can't English today. The narrator team, what are they called? Writing team, narrative team, saw some ways to better the storyline somewhere, and they needed an extra chapter for that.
Yeah.
Those are my two theories. Are either of them ever going to be substantialized? No. No way to substantialize that at all. So, yeah, there's just no way of knowing that one. But those are the only like two scenarios I can think of why they would add a whole chapter.
The first one for deliverables that were updated is actually a good example to use for context. So Osiedo Station, that's that giant comm relay thing that we've seen before. You can click on the green name on the Delta report, and it'll take you directly to the deliverables view for that deliverable. And so,
while you're doing that, I'm gonna go
Osiedo Station end date was extended from beginning of February to the end of November. You're like, what the heck? How come they haven't updated it? How come? They're just now doing that. Squadron 42 art added 27 days of work. You're like, well, what the hell? What's the difference? Squadron 42 art. This is a part-time sprint, and so that initially ended back here, and they added more work. Well, part-time just means that Squadron 42 art was already working on this team or on this deliverable, and instead of making it so that there's a sprint that ends here and then there's a break and another sprint that is 27 days up here, it's all just one sprint and it's marked as part-time. But if you go to the other view, the scheduled deliverables report, I'm not going to try and find it in here, but you'd be able to find it in here.
Control F Osiedo Station.
Yeah, and let's see, Osiedo.
Control F first.
Damn it, no, I don't want that. I want the... See? So this is the context. Here's that work that's scheduled. Here's the giant break in between that work. But it's still considered part-time because they stopped that sprint here and then they're picking it back up out here somewhere. And so
which means those devs were working somewhere else in the meantime.
Exactly. And we got done what we need to get done and we moved over here. And so this is not me. I'm not shitting on other content creators, but this is the issue with so many people trying to cover the progress tracker, and you reading the information wrong because it sets expectations inappropriately, and it doesn't provide the proper context. Because you see this and you're like, good grief, why is it taking them so long? How are they working so slow? Because you can go to Squadron 42 art, go to Yasato Station, and see that there's 4 artists, and like, god dang, they're working on it for 4 people working on it that entire time. No, they're not. They stopped working on it back here, and then they went and worked on something else, and then they started working on it over here. And so if you really want to set your expectations about a specific thing appropriately, you need to have a lot of accurate data points in order to sort of triangulate, get a good accurate expectation. And that's why, Nazarus and I, instead of getting upset about things, we use this tool to come here and get the context. So that way, because people will be like, oh, you can't make any predictions. No, yeah, you can. You can make predictions. You just have to, use the monthly report and, the elements. You have to compare, that deliverable, to something similar, and, follow their progress on in the monthly reports, but also as well as what's scheduled and then how it is scheduled, to see, okay, how much work is being done, how long is this going to take, who's working on it when. It's a lot. It's a lot of work, and it's not for everyone. But don't be upset if you don't have the time to put in the effort to get the context appropriate. It's okay. This stuff is confusing as hell. And again, if you have specific questions and you want you want to go down the rabbit hole on something, ask Nazarus and I. We will hop down that rabbit hole with you, just like
instantly.
Yeah, we will happily go do that with you in Discord, just like oh gosh, what's that goofy ass fairy tale that's basically everybody's on acid.
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, we will be Alice in Wonderland with you. Nazarus and I will put on our goofy hats and be the Mad Hatter and help you make sense of this stuff. But we have the tools, we have the technology, and we're going to interview the guy who made it.
That's how addicted to this stuff we are.
Yes, yeah, it is a drug. I have a problem, and I'm okay with it. So yeah,
I like House's thing better. Yes, I'm addicted. No, it's not a problem.
Yeah, I'm a functioning Star Citizen development addict. Yeah. I still hold on a job. I take care of my wife and kid, where everything's good. But that Yasato Station right here at the top is a perfect example of why the progress tracker is a helpful tool, but it is a flawed tool unless you use Shiny Hobo's tool. Present goofy hats, please. I'm upstairs. Let me see if there's something in the closet. Hold on.
I have goofy hats. Just go with this one. It's good enough, right?
I don't have a hat, but I can do one better. Give me just 1 second.
I have like 5. Then I have normal hats as well.
Can you see my pink tutu?
Oh God!
I found a pink tutu in the closet.
Not a hat.
There's no hats.
No, okay.
All the hats are in my closet downstairs, and this is just the extra storage closet up here in the bedroom, or the upstairs.
You want to ask? Room. Oh, I will.
Yeah.
By the way, what's Blizzard? Who was it? No, Ghost. There's a new movie for Zim, Invader Zim. So go watch the movie.
But yeah, so, oh yeah, I need to pull that up. So the first deliverable that really caught my eye, and it's because something that Nazarus and I keep a pretty sharp eye on, that had been updated, was the AR and map marker system rework. So everything that is UI related Nazarus and I both watch like a damn hawk. Um, he's just wearing. How am I wearing it wrong? How do you wear a tutu right? It's a fluffy hula hoop. Or are you talking about Nazarus's hat? Judging the way I wear my tutu.
I'm sorry, I just remembered the comment in Paul's video.
But so the AR and map marker system rework is the all the UI things that show the location of things on your screen. You know, AR being augmented reality. You know, as well as no, that's not the HUD elements, right? Yes.
So the AR bit is going to be the ping, the UI ping that they showed us at CitizenCon.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know which part that the card system is going to be under, and then the Mobigless update is going to be its own thing.
Oh yeah, I have those. I have those as well.
And
But yeah, the AR
NFTs
and
is
map
its own
marker
thing,
system
so.
rework. That's all stuff that they showed us at CitizenCon. Like you said, with the ping to see, okay, what things you can pick up. You know, here's, you know, you did a ping and here's the augmented reality of where, you know, that shows you where these things are or what they are. Those sorts of bits of information. And then the map marker system rework is the mini map and showing where things are on the mini map as well. And it should also be the, you know, how they showed you the interior map of the Idris. That's what this is as well.
Yep.
Yep. And so we'll go ahead and click on it, and we can take you directly to the deliverable.
Actually, the map and radar system rework is the internal map.
Oh,
so wait, that is just icons.
No. The map on radar system rework is the star map.
But they said it's the same system now. Yeah, actor feature is on here.
What?
Not actor feature, AI feature. Motion cap, narrative, squadron art.
I'm looking at the.
I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm looking at the wrong one. It's fine.
Okay. But they just showed this off at CitizenCon, and the end date was extended from beginning of September to the beginning of November. But it's the UI tech team. So context: public roadmap companion, UI tech team, which is a downstream team. They only get their schedule one quarter in advance. So that just means that they are continuing their work on this, the UI tech team, and that sprint is likely to get extended out into quarter one as well. It is most likely not going to release. You know, it could, you know, because it is the beginning. The other thing is certain teams aren't on the same schedule, so that's why the sprint ended at the beginning of September and not the end of the quarter, and then they just extended it another 3 months. So that team is likely just extending it for their quarter, and then once they get closer to here, then they'll extend it again for another quarter or however long they need to finish it. But it doesn't indicate that it's going to be releasing then. It might, but I kind of doubt it because it's for Squadron 42 right now, and they're finishing it for Squadron 42 and then porting it over. And so I imagine we might get additional work added to it, say in Q1 23, related to porting it over.
Yeah, and as a general rule of thumb, we normally always expect when the bar reaches the end of the quarter that is just going to get extended.
Yeah,
just
for
hands
the
down, just going to get extended.
Yep.
It just keeps our expectations managed. So the map and radar system rework. This is the description of it. An overhaul of the underlying system and associated UI for the star map, radar, local area map, and mini map.
Oh.
So that is the ship map.
Okay, cool.
So AR and map markers is specifically markers.
Well, and AR markers isn't just the FPS ones, but that's the example I was using.
Yeah, but it'll be icons and things all over the place.
Yeah.
All the icons.
God, that looked really good at CitizenCon. Oh, man. Woo.
All UI is just really popping off right now. I wonder, is Zane still the director of UI? I want to know.
I don't know. You should
I want to know if this is still Zane's work or Zane's is Zane still over, or did they get someone else, and that's why it's going somewhere? I don't have anything against them. I just want to know which it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other things, just Archon Station, same example as Asiedo, Squadron 42 art. They got done with something else. Now they're back to working on Archon.
Which is
just more work
being
being scheduled.
Archon.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. That thing big.
Over a kilometer long.
Yeah.
There.
I would say
Head overheated.
probably more than that. The other thing that I thought was really interesting, and this is again one of those context things, is bombs. And so the work for bombs initially, because bombs were released in, what was it, 3.15? And so bombs were initially released like way back here. Yeah, because 3.16 was Q1. So they were released in 3.15 in Q4. And that work basically ended this sprint. Well, they just elongated, or let's see, the weapon content team just picked up bombs again. And you're like, well, wait a minute. No, they've been working on it since November. No. Their work stopped. It's still a full-time sprint because they were working on it full-time when they were working on it before. And then they stopped working on it. And now they're picking it back up because they just added 18 days of work leading up to this date. So I'm not going to pull it back up, but it would look like the Asiedo station where it'd have a ton of dots, dot for basically all of 2022, and then showing them picking it back up at the end of 2022.
It's actually not on the scheduled deliverables page.
Maybe because it was previously scheduled.
Possibly.
I don't know.
Yeah,
if we could see it, that's what it would look like. But it's like, well, wait a minute. They already worked on bombs. Why are they working on more? They just introduced another bomber.
And we have bombs that are yet unreleased.
Yeah. And that was just tier 0 of bombs. And we know that the Spirit is actually in production. It was leaked. So they're working on the size 5 bombs. They're probably going to be making improvements to the bombing gameplay because it's super rudimentary. But, hey, they're picking the work back up now. They're going to be continuing that work. Bounty Hunter V2 got another sprint added to it. The narrative team, that's exciting because that just means that the more work is being added into it. They're continuing on with that work. The next one, I thought the cluster bombs for the A2 were size 5s as well. Or are they
No, they're
size 3s? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Because they're a carpet bomb like whole structure.
Yeah.
So they're smaller, but there's like 20 of them.
Yeah.
And then the Spirit is just specific bombs. Not as specific as a torpedo or a missile, but they are specific bombs still.
Yep. All the chapter work for Squadron 42 extended from the end of one quarter to the end of the next.
Not all of them.
Not all of it. A lot of it, though. But it is interesting that some are not extended.
Few.
Yeah.
That actually look like they're done. So I want to preface this looks like they're done with
either they're
most
done
of this is specific art.
Pausing on this one and going on to another. Yeah.
Some of this might be that the art is done and they'll come back when the team, like, let's just say, what is this team? Level Design 3. Let's say Level Design 3 finishes up on one chapter, and so that the chapter work ends. There's no currently scheduled stuff for the next little while in that chapter. But in the next quarter's update, or the next month's update, whatever they want to do, they then get their schedule to go work back on that again. So what looks done now does not necessarily mean it's actually done.
They are burning scheduled in hard on these chapters, though. They are picking up. There are certain ones in here that they are picking up that they haven't worked on for quite a while, which means suggests that okay, this feature is done. This piece of this is done. We can pick it back up. So chapter 25 hasn't been worked on for over a year.
Yeah.
Chapter
Look,
27 a year and a half, and now they're picking it back up again. So
go to the progress tracker and show chapter 1 and then an assortment of other chapters. Specifically something like chapter 3.
Ooh, too far.
If you just type in chapter, it'll just show you all the chapters. So that's what chapter 1 looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Now, look at something like chapter 3. That's probably not done.
Yeah. They're burning hard to get this one done. This is probably one of those ones that they're getting ready, getting to vertical splice or, completely playable, whatever. And okay, they're, maybe getting close to wrapping this one up or wrapping up another one. And now they're finally, or they're coming back and doing some polish work on this one after getting some QA feedback,
Yeah, I would imagine that chapter 1 is in like the final stages, whereas chapter 3 is something that they'll be starting to put more force into now.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
There
I would
is
imagine.
quite a lot of teams doing a lot of work though. Chapter 11.
There's what is it? There's almost 1,000 people working here now, and is it 60 or more percent of the companies on Squadron?
Depends on how
It's
you
a
break it down.
It's a large amount.
Because we did talk about that in a recent episode where it's like, well,
Yes.
they're getting their work, their assignments are guided by the needs of Squadron, but it's all shared things, shared gameplay activities. So,
if you want more information, go watch the last episode.
was it the last one? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
But there's a lot of more people are working on these chapters than any location, or I don't think it's I don't if we're looking at the entire people that are working on these chapters and the rest of the game, there's probably more on the rest of the game than these chapters. But there's a good chunk on these chapters. And there is a good split between the community. We'll call it the CIG community because it's 2 games technically. Between caring about only Star Citizen or only Squadron or a fade in between of both. I, for one, love Star Citizen, but will enjoy the crud out of Squadron. I am dying to see Squadron, specifically because I've played a few other story-based space games, not a lot, and I haven't finished any, I don't think. But after playing Halo Infinite, the story mode, it's like I want an actual space opera epic thing. Like I haven't made a lot into Infinite, but it's the story takes a backseat to grindy gameplay. So I'm ready for a good story in space. Not grinding mechanics, and I know that Squadron will not have grinding mechanics in story mode. So I'm really looking forward to it. Mm-hmm. So I might be a little more gun ho talking about Squadron than other people, or not. Well, some other people.
Lots more interesting work. Nothing that stands out to me as super fascinating or anything that wasn't unexpected or anything that I'm really keeping a close eye on. But until we get down to, let's see, where is it? We're just talking about that UI and FPS radar scanning. End date extended from just a couple weeks ago to like right meow. And wait for it to pull up. So this is also FPS radar scanning. That stuff that they're showing us. That was looking really good. I'm really hoping that we will see this in the not too distant future, because it's I'll have to pull this this sprint up for the active feature team and see what they're doing for it, because we just got the update, and we're not getting another big update to the progress tracker for like another 2.5-3 months, and to see this work after they just showed it to us, looking as good as it did, stopped right there. I'm thinking that we're getting really close for the FPS radar and scanning tech update, and hoping we'll be seeing that in the PU pretty soon. And by pretty soon I mean in the next couple quarters.
Because like I said, the map system, what is it called? The map and radar system rework includes FPS.
Yeah. And
so I
wonder if it's because the one is the AR and the map, and the other one is the radar and the. Oh, okay, there you go.
It says star map, radar, local area, and mini map. It does not say FPS map. So there is some difference between your ship map and the system and the FPS map. So
yeah, because the FPS radar and scanning is improved signature system supporting much greater distances and dampening of signatures by environmental interference and larger signatures, which they showed us. Improved scanning driven by the same signature system as the radar and ping, which we have in game right now, available in ships, ground vehicles, and FPS. So cool.
Interesting.
The next one is near and dear to Nazeris's heart. Obviously, we know Gen 12 is coming. That was I thought that Sylvan did a good job presenting.
Very good job. That was amazing. And
yeah,
I really like. I don't know if anyone at CIG can like pass along. Like that was like top notch. Like what I want to see in ISC, showing us exactly like the nitty gritty. Like this is a frame. This is everything that has to happen in a frame. This is the bottleneck.
Stuff, yeah.
Like that is absolutely what I like to see in ISC. Like the background, not we sterilize this for YouTube. Like he showed us exactly, and he like even gave the caveats.
These technical concepts that are really otherwise would be hard to break down. And you're like, oh, here's a number. We reduced it by 33%. Right off the top. And not only do we reduce it by 33%, but now we've completely flipped the situation where now the CPU is not bottlenecking you. You're actually, the CPU is waiting on, it has all sorts of extra time. So and that's without optimizations. That's just it's just working,
and
phase.
I like the refresher that he gave. He like mentions ray tracing, but also like, oh, by the way, we have a guy who's like was hired and has background in VR. So that was all amazing to hear. So I'm hoping like within 5 years is my hope we get a VR version of Star Citizen. Well, not version, but VR integration into Star Citizen. Yeah.
So hacking tier 0. Hacking tier 0, the end date was extended essentially 2 weeks. Because they added a month of work. So like they added basically 2 weeks on the before this and 2 weeks after this.
Oh. And
it's just Squadron 42 art. It doesn't hit the wall. The only extra work that they added was Squadron 42 art, and they added a month. So the Squadron 42 art people are just taking a little bit longer to wrap it up. The only thing is Squadron 42 art.
The weapon feature team will be done this week.
Yeah. Hopefully. Should be. Because weapon feature
scheduled to be done
is upstream, which is good. So if they were going to be extended, they might have already had it done by now. But Squadron 42 art is downstream.
1, 2, 3.
But they only extended it a couple weeks.
Yeah, so there's 3 weeks with SV art on the schedule right now.
Mm-hmm. So.
When this came out? When this come out? Wednesday?
Yep.
What's today?
I think that my prediction is that hacking will be a 3.19 feature to go along with bounty hunting.
That makes sense. I am like
And
in full reserve mode for whatever 319 is. I have no predictions for that.
and I think
I
we're going
got
to get an
nothing.
update on hacking in ISC this quarter.
I
Or if not this
don't.
quarter, beginning of next quarter.
I don't
Fingers
think hacking's
crossed.
this quarter.
Oh, I don't think it's this quarter. I just think we might see it this quarter, like an update, especially as once they put out 319 onto, stuff, or once they start putting stuff onto 319.
Mm.
Moving on, uh, life support, obviously that's going to be in the works for a while. Lorville Cityscape added narrative team and VFX
White
being
box.
downstream. So looking forward to seeing more work on that. But the map and
Remind me,
radar
this is
system
white
rework,
box.
which we were just talking about.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
So the end date extended from the end of last quarter to basically the working end of this quarter, but it doesn't go all the way through. So hopefully, there's a lot more work added, but hopefully that means that the A will see some of this work soon, and B, when we get to this end of this quarter and get an update, we'll see maybe less going into this quarter. I'm hoping that because they've talked so much about it and how it looks so good and how it's been in the monthly reports a lot. I'm really hoping that the map and radar system rework is also going to be like a Q1 feature as part of 319.
So much going into this game the next like year. It is
Mm-hmm.
insane.
Yeah, and it's so many of these things are features and mechanics that are huge, either additions or quality of life updates. That it's a 1,000% increase over what we have already.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing was that I like to keep an eye on, because again it's UI, is the MFD rework. So that one's going to be, they're going at it for a while. But they are adding work to it from the Squadron 42 UI feature team and the UI tech team, which to
A
me
whole
suggests,
no, that's 2 weeks. A whole 2 weeks
yeah.
added work.
But
Which
what they did though is by adding those people, because where did it go? They
it's
added
the middle
11
one. It
days
should be.
here and 11 days there. So, whoops, wrong one. They added those 11 days down here because of what teams are working on it that just got added, as well as the vehicle feature team. I think it's because they are adding those people because those resources are coming available after having worked
Mm-hmm.
on the other stuff that's UI
Mm-hmm.
related that we keep such a close eye
Yes.
on. The Where is it? Mobiglass rework, also
You're
UI.
not skipping the whole C. You are not skipping the whole C.
Huh?
You're not skipping the whole C. You're not allowed. It's the whole
It's
C.
not
It's
on
like
there.
it was there. Where'd it go? Hold on. I
Because it
saw
went.
it. I'm
It wasn't updated. That was in
maybe
the last one.
seeing things.
These are just the ones that are updated.
Hold on. I swear I saw it.
Control F. Hold.
I'm control Fing. Okay. No, you're right. I'm
Top
blind.
currently scheduled.
Okay, so I've been lied to. I see. I see how this works. So nothing updated, but there's still work. Oh, because that's a downstream. Upstream? The longer one. Either way. 318 has the whole C. I guarantee it.
My
So where are
money's
we
on
going?
it too.
Mobiglass.
Mobiglass rework. Let's see, where were we? So much work. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The longer we have to scroll, the more stuff they're doing.
Yeah, so Mobiglass rework and it extended from the end of September to mid-November, not mid-end of December. And
Dun,
they
dun,
added
dun.
narrative. They added narrative and UI feature, not UI tech, UI feature. So,
Ooh.
or not, they didn't add those teams. They were already working on it. They just added additional work from UI feature.
And what do you always say about narrative?
Narrative comes at the end of things. When things are getting ready to be released, um, narrative is usually towards the back two, back third, back three quarter of something before it goes delivered. And they did
Yep.
show us this. They showed a preview of it at CitizenCon, and it was looking
So
real good,
good.
looking awful functional. Um, and it's one of those things that's being made for Squadron and then ported over the PU, and they were showing it in game. So I'm very hopeful that that is something that we see sooner rather than later.
Yeah, if it's not 318, 319, I would bet.
Yeah, within the next two quarterly releases, I would
Well,
bet.
I say that, but the entire CitizenCon was Road to 4.0. They did say that it was, all the stuff they were showing was 4.0 or subsequent patch. So
Yeah,
maybe it sneaks before 4.0, but 4.0 is like a big asterisk right now. Like nobody knows when it's gonna hit.
I,
It could
I'm
be
I'm
Q2. It could
betting
be Q4.
319 will be a big patch,
Mm-hmm.
a bigger patch than people realize, and that we're going to see a good amount of quality of life update, change things, additions that are going to make our
Are we
lives
gonna
easier.
get? Yeah, yeah. We're gonna get into player interaction. Well, then I'll tell you some stuff.
So Mobiglass rework, hooray, new player experience. Um,
Ugh.
mhm.
As long as it's easy to shut off, I have no problem with. The
The
last thing I want is being locked in as a veteran player
oh yeah,
to being led around by the hand. Being led around is absolutely necessary in this game for the first half an hour for a new player. Yes, I understand. Don't just because it's the first time in a new patch, don't lock me into it. Give me a cheat. No, I almost said Squid Game. What is it called? Splatoon gave a cheat to people who knew the game. Star Citizen can give a cheat. Just let me shut it off.
hmm
I enjoy your work. Don't make me do it.
physical damage and breakability. Just the physics team and extended from the beginning of September to the beginning of beginning of September to the beginning of December. So they're just continuing on with that work. It's a part-time sprint. They're added more days. I'll have to look at this one in the other view just to see what that sprint actually looks like, under the hood. But they're
Which one?
continuing to work on that. Or sorry, physical
Breakability.
damage and yeah. Um,
Um, there
like
have been 3 different gaps. We're in the
mm-hmm,
middle of we're the current sprint, all full
yep,
time stuff.
yeah,
So it just looks like some time was spent because of a prerequisite or some holdup happened.
yep.
So
Um,
or
and
like a
then
vacation or something.
Rastar end date,
Dun,
and
dun,
that's
dun, dun,
the
dun,
tool
dun.
that they're using to make outposts and settlements and cities. Here, we'll pull it up. That will eventually be in players' hands for making player outposts. Developing and implementing Rastar, a tool that allows the placement of modular structures on planet surfaces, including the deformation of the surrounding terrain to accommodate it. This will eventually be used by players to place their own structures, such as with the Consolidated Outland Pioneer. So, um, the Rastar Sprint um, Planet Tech team added 27 days of work. So here they are. Planet Tech is where is it? Oh, there we go. Planet Tech is a downstream team, um, and so they're just moving that another, but they only moved it a month. They only added a
Hmm.
month of Planet Tech team work, not another 3 months.
I can
So it looks like Planet
imagine.
Tech is getting done with their work, and the VFX was assigned with 13 days of work. But VFX is also a downstream team, and they didn't assign anything beyond this. So
Hmm.
I'm interested to see because we are getting an update on Rastar in 2 days um,
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what the ISC update does as far as providing context to this sprint, because Rastar also hasn't really been in the monthly reports.
Hasn't it?
I haven't seen it in a while. At least not not anything consistent. Not like
I feel
the
like it said
procedural location tool and the.
I feel like the last monthly report they said they were pretty solid and they were adding features in finishing.
Oh yeah, no, I mean as far as like getting consistent updates on it, it hasn't been something that like we see every month in the monthly reports. The rest of the stuff not all that interesting, except for the unannounced vehicle extended to IAE. Yeah, that's obvious. But this is the one that Nazareth and you and I saw way back, where it's just like 2 weeks of audio and VFX, and we're like, what? An unannounced vehicle, and the only teams working on it are downstream teams, and there's nothing else prior to that. Well, they extended that work. So I don't even know what to think about this vehicle. All I know is VFX is, and audio are working on it, and no one else. And so the only thing I can hypothesize is that this is something that they picked up, and haven't worked on since before the advent of the progress tracker.
It's an unannounced thing, so it's a vehicle we absolutely do not know the name of.
Yep. And they concepted it and put it into production and then tabled it and are now finally getting back to it with downstream teams.
I keep thinking like, oh, maybe it's the Cerberus. We know the Cerberus. Maybe it's the PTV. We know the PTV. The Lynx. We know the Lynx. It's not anything we know the name of.
Yeah, there's no vehicle tech, there's no vehicle experience, anything like that. The vehicle, there's no vehicle concept art. There's no what are the vehicle production teams called? The US and EU vehicle.
Tracking experience.
No, the.
Okay, so I keep getting confused between the two different areas, the Delta and the not Delta. Delta and deliverables on the Shiny Tracker.
Vehicle content. Yeah.
Where was it? There was a not leak that happened. Not that happened, but that was caught. Where is your leak channel? There it is. Nope, wasn't even posted in there. I know it was posted in the Astropub. Okay. So I don't know where the screen. I assume this came from the SE Leaks or Pipeline Discord. Interaction equip outfit. Interaction hang into hanger. Interaction hang outfit in hanger. Interaction swap outfit. And then they said like, is this the cargo refactor? No, you dinguses. Player interaction tier what? Lockers and inventory. Read. It's right there. This is the locker system. Like this is the same locker system we saw in this vertical slice. It's the same locker system they've been working on since the first time we saw somebody flip a helmet. This is the goal. It's not the cargo refactor. It has nothing to do with the cargo refactor. There's only locker and inventory effect.
For the game editor.
Storing your current loadout and swapping out your loadout with the one you have on. It's all the same thing. Not the cargo refactor. I don't know who said that, but I'm not on their Discord, so I can't yell at them in person.
Yeah, I don't do that anymore. But that is it for the Roadmap Roundup and our review of the Shiny Tracker Delta report and providing context about the development of Star Citizen and what's going on.